against Real Madrid in the Copa del Rey. Sociedad beat Madrid at the Bernabeu and went on to lift the trophy.
Yo.
The first major trophy they've won for 33 years.
What a comeback story! Let's go! Let's go, Martin!
At Real Sociedad, but after his incredible performances, Zidane called him personally and asked him to come back to Madrid.
The rise, fall, and rise again of Martin Odegaard. Without wasting any more time, guys, let's get straight into it.
Over the years, there's been a lot of wonderkids that have burst onto the scene at a young age
and
never managed to live up to the hype.
Fact.
After Odegaard was dropped from the Real Madrid B team and then had a disappointing season on loan in the Eredivisie, it looked like he was another rising star that failed to reach their potential.
I definitely thought that as well, because I've said this multiple times before, but I've been following Martin Odegaard's career ever since his first game for Real Madrid when he came on 2015, last game of the season for Cristiano Ronaldo when everything was already lost and Ancelotti was about to get sacked. Odegaard made an impression on me straight away from that point. And I thought, especially after they sent him to Eredivisie, forget the fact that he underperformed in Eredivisie, but as soon as they sent him there, I was like, yeah, it's peak. It's a long day for this guy. But I'm glad things have gone well for Odegaard. He's one of my favorite players in the world. But at the time, looking back on it, him being chipped off to Eredivisie was definitely like a wake-up moment for fans where we were like, maybe he's not next up.
But after being given one more chance to prove himself, he showed that he could be the player everybody thought he would become at 16.
Yeah.
So let's find out how Odegaard turned his career around after being called a PR stunt by his manager, Carlo Ancelotti, to becoming the captain of Arsenal and putting up numbers to rival Kevin De Bruyne and Bruno Fernandes in the Premier League. Odegaard made his pro debut at 13. That's younger than any other player we've come across on this channel.
Bro, 13 is crazy. Bro. 14 is mad. 14 is mad. 13. 13?
Martin was born in Drammen, Norway in 1998. He grew up playing in the local team Drammen Strong, where his dad was the coach. His dad remembers asking all the other kids how much time they were dedicating to practice, and Martin was putting in double the hours. Coming from a family of athletes and working twice as hard as anybody else, it's no surprise that when he was 11, he was invited to join the Stroms Godset Academy. They're a top team in Norway, playing in the first division. When he was 13, he started to train with the first team, and not long after, he made his professional debut in a friendly against local rivals. Newspapers across Norway were writing stories about this young kid who was bagging goals against grown men. He was widely regarded as Norway's next wonder kid. Some people were even calling him the Norwegian Messi. After playing a season in the first team at 15 years old, every club in Europe was desperate to sign him. He almost signed to Arsenal, but when Real Madrid offered him a contract, he couldn't say no. They paid €4 million and he was suddenly the most talked about kid on the planet. But as we're about to find out, things didn't exactly go to plan at Madrid, and at one point, it looked like he was nothing more than an overrated flop.
We'll let him cook for now, because I think that when he gets to Real Madrid, things get more interesting. But so far, it's just a nice story. Just a nice story on Martin Odegaard, how he came through the ranks, having the eyes of the biggest clubs in Europe on him. It's just a typical story. You hear the same from Vinicius. You hear the same from Rafael Leão. You hear the same from Jude. So many players around Europe that have kind of a similar rise to fame. But it's at Real Madrid where things begin to get interesting, especially the timeline, because he came to Real Madrid at a time where Rafa Benitez took over and then James Rodriguez was signed, etc., etc. It gets interesting around that time.
When Odegaard arrived at Real Madrid, he was training 5 days a week with the first team, but playing with Castilla, Real Madrid's B team. This meant he didn't get a chance to build any chemistry with his teammates, and there was even some jealousy of this new kid that just arrived and was getting to train with Cristiano Ronaldo. After a bad run of form for Castilla, Odegaard was dropped from the team. In just a couple of months, he'd gone from the Norwegian Messi and training with Ronaldo to not getting into Real Madrid's B team.
That's mad.
Odegaard knew that if he was going to save his career, he needed to get some game time out on loan. He almost transferred to Spanish rivals Barcelona, but their transfer ban prevented the move. Instead, he spent a season and a half out on loan at Dutch club SC Heerenveen. When he arrived in the Netherlands, everybody was expecting the Real Madrid wonder kid to tear up the Eredivisie. But what actually happened was a lot more disappointing.
He began to stink up the place. That's what happened. And again, this is why Odegaard's story is much more interesting, because it's like usually is a success, then it either builds on, or a success, then they fail. With Ordegaard, it's been like success, fail, and then of course he was able to reach the heights that he's been able to reach at Arsenal in the Premier League, especially last season.
In 15 games before he scored his first goal, and he couldn't nail down a spot in the team. In the following season, his performances slightly improved, but by the end of his loan spell, he only managed 3 goals in 43 appearances.
Again, goals aren't the best way to reflect how a midfielder should be playing. But again, he's an attacking midfielder, still not the best way. But yeah, definitely 3 goals in 43 games isn't good. But you know, as a channel that tends to look at players' performances more often, I definitely want to say, let's not make the mistake to compare midfielders' ability or what they've been able to do over a season just on goals. I think that's not enough.
To make things worse for him, it was around this time that Carlo Ancelotti called his transfer to Real Madrid nothing more than a PR move by Madrid's president Perez. It must have crushed his confidence. At this point, everybody thought that Odegaard was finished. He couldn't cut it at Real Madrid, and now he couldn't perform in the Eredivisie either. But the thing is, he was still only 19. It only felt like he dropped off because of the comparisons that were being made to him and Messi.
Man, like the guy started playing professional football when he's 13. Between the age of 13 and like where he's talking about 9 now, where he is 19 years old, it's been 6 years. 6 years, and he's only 19, bro. Even now, Arsenal, I don't even think Odegaard is 25 yet. Like, his career has been so rich. He's been in the spotlight for so long. I don't think Odegaard's 25 yet.
And because everybody's expectations of him were so high. But none of that was his fault.
Yeah, facts,
He was getting game time and building confidence, and he was about to show everyone the talent he had. Knowing that he needed more time on loan, he spent a season at another Dutch side, Vitesse. Things went a lot better, and in 39 games, he managed 11 goals and 12 assists.
Again, better numbers, but not. I want to really stress this point. Not the only way to analyze players' performances, especially not a midfielder.
He was voted Vitesse Player of the Season. Next season, another loan move. This time to Spanish club Real Sociedad.
And this is when Odegaard started cooking, and then Real Madrid had no option but to bring him back. At Real Sociedad, the way this team was playing, Odegaard was big cooking.
Madrid fans started to get excited about Odegaard's potential.
Yeah.
Real Sociedad had a great side and were playing some incredible football. Odegaard was becoming a real leader in the dressing room and was a key player in the team. The defining moment of this season was scoring against Real Madrid in the Copa del Rey. Sociedad beat Madrid at the Bernabeu and went on to lift the trophy.
Yo.
The first major trophy they'd won for 33 years.
What a comeback story! Let's go, Martin!
At Real Sociedad, but after his incredible performances, Zidane called him personally and asked him to come back to Madrid.
Yeah, you have to, man.
This was it. This was his chance to step into the first team and show everybody the talent he had. Well, not exactly. After playing 4 games for Madrid at the start of the season, he picked up a minor injury that kept him out of action for a month. When he returned, he couldn't get back into the team, and by January, he'd only made 9 appearances.
And then this is part of the problem. You have this rising player that's performing amazingly. Goals and assists aren't the only way to describe it, because I remember at the time watching Odegaard at Real Sociedad, and this guy was class. Odegaard at Real Sociedad was class. He was bossing the midfield, to say the least. Now, he goes back to Real Madrid. There's Modric. There's Toni Kroos still in the team. There's Casemiro still in the team. There's players coming through like Asensio and etc. And it's like, You can't start, bro. You have to come off the bench. You have to come off the bench. But I'm performing well, but you have to come off the bench. And that's when Odegaard was like, you know what? It's time for me to move on again. And shout out to Odegaard for not staying and doubling down on his self-belief, because I think it definitely helped him to be where he is right now.
Most of those coming off the bench towards the end of the game. Tired of not getting a chance to prove himself, Odegaard spoke to his agent and asked for another loan move for the second half of the season. Arsenal had gone through a huge banter period. They sat 9th in the league midway through the season. It looked like Arteta would be out the door soon enough.
Yeah.
But when Odegaard spoke to Arteta, he saw his vision and ambition and wanted to test himself in the Premier League. While on loan, he won the love of the Arsenal fans after his goal in the 2-1 win in the North London derby. In the summer, Ancelotti told Odegaard that he'd be a key member of his team, but by the end of pre-season, it was obvious that he wouldn't feature much, so he requested a transfer. With Madrid needing to recover some money from their pandemic losses, they were happy to sell him, and Arsenal got a steal, signing Odegaard for £30 million. He was named captain of Arsenal, which was a bold move by Arteta, as he'd only played 60 games for the club and was only 23. But let's be honest, he couldn't be any worse than Xhaka or Aubameyang.
Yeah.
About the captaincy, Arteta said, he thinks about the team before himself. He had a period at the start where he wasn't playing. He was the first in training and the last to leave. He's also being described by a Norwegian coach as having as much talent as Ozil, but a much higher work rate, and I think the quote from Arteta is proof. In total, Odegaard only made 11 appearances for Real Madrid. His career clearly didn't go the way that everybody thought it would when he was 16. But he's spent seasons out on loan to work on his game, and now Arsenal are benefiting from all the hard work. So far this season, Odegaard has 8 goals and 7 assists in 22 games, and he's getting me some nice points on FPL. He's putting up numbers to rival De Bruyne and Fernandes.
Again, goals and assists aren't the best way to look at midfielders. They are important that he's an attacking midfielder, and you know, it helps, and those numbers are fantastic. But, and you know, by the end of the season, Odegaard had put up amazing numbers, but it's everything else that Odegaard is influential in. The build-up play, setting up his teammates, even when he doesn't come to assist, even to just when he leads up to a chance created, or he leads, or is the pass before the assist. In those moments where, when we've made the 2 reactions on Odegaard, things we went in depth to look at, because this guy is special, truly special. And I just think Odegaard will only continue to get better and better. I think we're going to get 5 years of Odegaard just improving and establishing himself as one of the best midfielders in the league.
He's captaining Arsenal to one of their best seasons in a long time. Over in Manchester, Pogba was called a virus by Mourinho, and Juventus were recently rumoured to be trying to sack him. For the downfall of Pogba, click the video on screen.
I'll leave the link to this in the description, of course. Thank you very much for watching till the end, guys. You're much appreciated. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, share. Do all those things to please help me grow this channel. And I'll see you guys soon.